And in terms of your journey, you mentioned there quite honestly about Ball Street. You enjoyed it, but it didn't go long term. Was long term as perhaps you imagined. Was EXO the next stage? Because I remember then at that point, because we were playing football around this similar time together for the same team, weren't we?
Yeah.
And that was when you started doing kickoff with True Geordie EXO. So how did that? Was that? Were you in a freelance capacity then, or were you at a bit of a stage in your life where, once again, you didn't know what the next step was?
So I think on a personal note, absolutely felt that way.
Really?
So Ball Street was, it was hanging in there. It was a plucky underdog. And as a company, it lasted a lot longer than most. I'm not going to list other companies, but a lot of those other companies kind of went big and went bust.
Yeah.
And Ball Street didn't. And it deserves huge credit for that. And it was a sort of, it was such a mix of people, and actually everyone that's worked at Ball Street has gone on to do really great things. But yeah, on a personal note, I don't feel like it achieved the heights that I would have liked it to. But it was an incredible part of my life. But it got to a point where, I don't know if you remember TFR.
Yes.
So TFR,
Football Republic.
Yeah. So that they'd spent a lot of money on that. True Geordie was, the main sort of face of that. But that channel was just kind of dormant, and they were trying to sell it. And Ball Street kind of wanted that.
Right.
Because they thought, we've got this amount of subscribers. We can go and get that one. That's going to be useful. So we were trying to get that. And in the end, someone else got it. But the other person that got it, who is very famous now, they kind of went to Brian and said, would you want to do this channel? But then when they said, we'll pay you a certain amount for it, it was nowhere near the amount of money that it would need to be.
Right.
So it then kind of came out, and through that, there was then a conversation with Lawrence McKenna, who was one of the first people to work at Ball Street, with the guys at Ball Street, and they said, why don't we just start, why don't you just start your own thing that you kind of want to create? And they sort of thought about getting Stephen Tries involved and Will as well. Yeah. And it all started to happen, but it happened within Ball Street. Okay. So I was still staff. Adam Boltwood, who we both know really well as well, is a wonderful human being. Oh, so talented as well. He had been super successful. So anyone doesn't know him, he was the guy who kind of built Football Daily and then built TFR and then went and worked with Hashtag when they were really kind of like going off initially and breaking new ground in space.
I've worked with his brother Alex as well.
Yeah.
Also talented.
Yeah. And he's now at the Premier League, an amazing person. And so they were able to kind of get him involved as well. And it made a real splash. Like it was cool. And I think with the 4 people that you had there, I mean, wow. Like Brian is, I remember doing a shoot with Brian, and he had to do pieces to camera. And obviously I've worked with a lot of presenters.
You're talking about True Geordie for people that knows your name yet. Most people would.
And he knocked each piece to camera out like that.
Really?
And I thought, wow.
What, one takes and stuff, yeah.
Easy. So good.
Yeah.
Engaging, charismatic, just an incredible talker. Like right up there, like with everyone I've worked with. Absolutely. Like top 3, if I really think about it, maybe he's number 1. Like an incredible talker.
Yeah.
And then Will and E, like just an incredible brain. I think he's the GOAT of UK YouTube.
Do you?
Yeah,
do you know what? It's interesting. I was going to ask you that. You think he is the most singular? I'll ask that again. You think he is the most talented UK YouTuber?
I think that the sort of amalgamation of being funny, being able to connect, being able to understand the algorithm, being able to do the work, put the work in before you even make the video, thoughts on the title, understanding the algorithm, being creative, going the extra mile. He's phenomenal. And I think in terms of people's journeys, like for me, I kind of want that. I want slow and long.
Slow and steady, yeah. I
want a slow 50-year career. That's what I don't need any dramas or anything like that. And I think Will's kind of done that, but just kept going. Will as well. Just an amazing person. When I hit 100K on my channel, and we're sort of mates, right? But I don't spend a lot of time with him. When I see him, it's wonderful, right? When I hit 100K, he got my address and sent me a bottle of champagne.
Did he?
And I thought, wow, like what an amazing person.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and that must be nice for you. You've just described him as the GOAT of UK YouTube. He's number 1 for you. So for him then to recognise your talent and for willingly to send you a bottle of champagne through the post.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't.
That must be a proud moment for you. That
huge moment because I think the thing that you learn over the years is that it's more. It actually is about more than numbers. Like obviously, it's about creative expression to a point. It's about looking to achieve. It's okay to be ambitious, but you want it to mean something.
Yeah, I agree.
And I actually didn't think Will liked me. I had a feeling that Will was like not really. Yeah, I was just sometimes you just get this idea that he's not. Yeah, I think I annoy him. Do you know what I mean?
Clearly not.
And maybe I do, but like the fact that he was just that generous, I thought was just, what a great sort of marker of the guy, But obviously, just such a talent. Stephen tries. I mean, he's so funny.
Yeah.
Like just funny bones, and just some people are just a bit
quick
giddy
with
with
his humour as well, isn't he? Very quick. With
yeah,
his humour.
and I was so excited to be around him because sometimes you go, so handbrake's off, right? Can we just chuck jokes at each other? So that, but again, so different. We've got three very different, and then Lawrence McKenna. I mean, such a talent, like and very different from the aesthetic, from this understanding of brand, of understanding of how to make something look good, distinctive but different. So as a four, that was like in terms of and most things in life, it's you can only make a decision with the information you've got.
Yeah,
and that was a no-brainer once the four guys wanted to kind of be together.
So amazing starting point with the four guys. You said what happened next?
So, well, we made some great stuff. I mean, I say we. I don't think you can involve me in it. To be honest,
just to confirm, you were producing capacity this time.
So my involvement kind of grew as it went on. So initially I was a bit lost because Adam Boltwood had come in, as we've spoken about, like above it all of it. But he was also sort of come in to essentially kind of audit and figure out why the Wall Street Journal hadn't done great and how can we make it better. And so for me, my nose was out of joint a little bit just because I was like, oh. What about me? Like, what do I do?
Role?
Yeah. And so I was then kind of like, I would love to get involved in this. And actually, it was interesting. Brian sort of wanted to come in and meet the team, and so he took the meeting room. We all kind of went in one by one and had a chat with him, and
separately.
And I'd not met Brian,
right?
So it was all quite intimidating because Brian can be a little bit intimidating. Right. He's a big dude, and but I remember like straight away having quite a good connection with Brian, and kind of I guess it was an opportunity for me to kind of show my ambition, and also kind of I was like, this looks really exciting. I'd really love to be a part of this in some way, and I don't really know how I'm going to kind of be a part of it.
But you didn't want to lose that opportunity.
Yeah, well, I think he wanted to meet us all, so it's about like, okay, what are you about? What do you want to do? Yeah. And I'm an ambitious person, so I just sort of said that. But I remember us kind of getting on quite well quite quickly, but I was kind of on the outskirts of it. But as the sort of months progressed, I was sort of, and the Wembley Cup happened as well.
And you captained EXO at Wembley in the Wembley Cup,
which is obviously all down to Brian. We kind of got a team together, started doing that, and then we started to have a few training sessions. And as you know, with me, I'm quite loud on a football pitch.
Lots of talk.
Yeah. So we then, when we had these training sessions, it was kind of like, well, who's going to take it?
Yeah.
And Bolt was kind of like, so I sort of you end up taking it.
Yeah, that's class.
So then they're kind of like, well, you need to, because I wasn't even in the squad initially.
Really?
Yeah. And as soon as we found out it's Wembley and it's Wembley, I was like, Adam, I need you to get me into this squad. Like, I have to be in this.
Yeah.
And he was like, the bosses wanted, I don't know if Steve-O knows this, the bosses wanted Steve-O the Madman. They wanted to try and get some other influencers in. Yeah. We played with him the other week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I work my nuts off here for this company. What? Fortunately, I kind of made myself a little bit indispensable in the sense of like, it's kind of part of the training. And then when you're in the training, you get to play a little bit and they go, oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
And then we play. And then I was kind of in and because I kind of, talk a lot, you're then able to kind of try and get everyone together and help and organise.
And you play centre mid. A lot of the stars were aligning here for you, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. And then also I think, again, it's a similar idea. It's like, okay, this isn't what I, ego-wise, is a gentle bruising there in terms of, God, I've failed here with the Ball Street thing. We've got this guy who's got to come in, try and sort it out. And there's this other thing. You get a bit of FOMO there because you're like, oh, I really want to be a part of that as well. So, but you've got a decision to make. And Adam was always like wonderful with me. And so it was around that time that I both started my own channel, because I sort of sat down. I remember when I went out with my wife and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And like, what if I just get, if I leave, I've got nothing. I have, and looking around, I worked in a fan network where everyone else has their own channel.
Yeah, that's a great point. You didn't at the time.
I had nothing.
So XO for you then was huge for you. Not just from a development point of view, but actually you're having a chat with your wife about where you'd go next.
Yeah, and huge in the sense of like, I don't think I'm part of that. It seems quite clear that I'm not part of that. But by trying to kind of, I guess, be a team player, because I think when you're sort of, when you could have your sort of nose put out of shape, the best thing is to do is kind of be good about it, try and help. And I could see it was a difficult situation for Adam. So it was like, how can I help? How can I be a part of this? Like, that looks like an exciting project. And it was. So then as that progressed, I started to get involved more and more, had a good connection with Brian. So then there's a few times where, I'd come and help this or that shoot, talking about the one earlier where he's doing pieces to camera, end up producing that section of it or whatever it might be. And so you're then able to be a part of all of that. And then, through that, Brian, bless him, was, was like, we want you to do it. And then he said, I'd love you to captain.
Wow.
And obviously it's funny, isn't it? Because, charity matches don't matter that much.
No, I know what you mean.
But I think also sometimes, I think as long as it doesn't cross a line and it's okay to be bothered about it. It's okay to want to do well.
But when are you going to play at Wembley again? So
mate, I lost the stone.
Exactly.
I was like, I need to be able to run here.
Clearly matters to
you.
Yeah,
petrified about the F2 and like just getting a run into the ground. So it was one where, that was an incredible experience. All of a sudden, you're around these people that are big names and, you've got big brands getting involved, and we made a splash, and down to sort of Loz's sort of artistic direction, and also, Boltwood being able to steer it and just be a world-class producer, which he is. And Wembley was special. It's so special for me.
Yeah, like Cafu, Robbie Fowler, Perez.
Beat David Trezeguet. Yeah, that's my claim to fame.
Yeah. And who got captain Jimbo?
Exactly. There's a bit before it. There's a clip where I've gone, so do you want to play, I said to Cafu, do you want to play right back or right of a three, or do you want to play centre midfield? And he goes, put me somewhere.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Boltwood looks to Gary and goes, I think he's going to be fine.
Who was the best player on that day?
Cafu was the best.
Cafu by mile.
Oh my God.
Best non-football player. So celebrity or influencer.
In our team?
On the day. Because it was 4 teams, wasn't there, right?
I mean, I'll be honest. We were sort of drinking it in. Didn't watch the game before.
Yeah.
I think the best player is the lad who scored for Rebel, went on to play for Hashtag, scored a load of goals in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now. I think he's probably the best player. For sure. But it was a weird event where it's like, it was brilliant, and we were the underdogs, and we gave it a go. And we hung in there.
So I remember watching it, and your face was like, just being so happy for you, because you looked like the happiest person to be there, if that makes sense.
Sure, I think I probably was.
Like that the whole time.
Yeah, and get to sort of live it in terms of it being a competitive game and wanting to do well, I think is okay. And I think there's a line. I think sometimes maybe I'm a little bit busy with that. But I guess it comes back to that, what if we did beat them?
Yeah.
That would have been, wow, what a day that would have been. And the fact that we took it to extra time, I'm not sure how, again, was like, life's about peace and joy. And so like, you should just be focusing on one or the other. If you're struggling, find peace, try and find peace somehow. If there's a moment to be enjoyed, get the joy out of it. And so I think that's all we were trying to do. And it was a buzz. Yeah. It was a buzz.
I bet it was. So when you look at that, you've mentioned the talented people, the 4 talented people we know about. You've also mentioned the talented people off camera that some of our viewers, listeners might not know, but I can vouch for how talented they are as well.
Sure.
You're talking about the Wembley Cup. Why do you think XO is still not going now with all of that said and all of that talent?
Well, first of all, Stephen Tries has he's basically done graffiti on the channel because he's changed all the titles.
Right.
He went in there to like things that I don't think we can repeat. Look, I was a fly on the wall and I wasn't on every wall.
Right.
But my take on it, I think, is that, we talk about, say, the TV structure, very clear hierarchy. And that person's in charge, and you listen, you do your job. You listen, you do your job. I think we tried to put a structure in place, but when you've got Brian and what he's built, and you've got Loz who and his understanding of what he wants to be and create. Stephen was just having a good time, I'll be honest, but which was actually huge respite, I think, for the channel at times.
Really,
and then Will as well. We've spoken about how highly I feel about Will, but he himself is, they all have very different visions on how they kind of want to make content, and they are all the top dog.
Right. Okay. And that worked in the other way, did it? So the fact they had a big profile from the outside, I would think, well, that's great for a group. You look at Sidemen, Beta Squad, they're all huge in their own rights, and that sort of helped their growth. But you're saying that was actually the detriment to the channel's growth because of the lack of a hierarchy.
Yeah, on my personal view of it, is that although Adam was above it, I don't think Adam was able to really be able to go, right, guys, I need you here at this time, and you're going to do this, or this is your video.
Right.
I think that was the sort of struggle with it a little bit. It's like going Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
We'd like to all come and manage this team.
Right.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Difficult. And so Adam is so incredibly difficult, impossible for Adam.
Was that frustrating for you then at that point? I'm looking at your face when you're talking about the Wembley Cup and how exciting you were working with these people that the group didn't, I wouldn't say fizzle out because they've all gone on to do amazing things themselves. They've all been hugely successful. But was that frustrating for you that the group didn't achieve what you think it could have done?
For being candid, I don't really care.
Right.
If I'm honest.
Fair enough.
If I'm honest, because I think it was a shame. I think it could have been enormous, and I think we've seen that.
Yeah.
You look at Beta Squad, look at what Sidemen have been able to do.
Definitely could have been, right?
Oh, enormous, right? But also, I think certainly with content creation, but life, like it's just chapters in life. There are and you're doing that, like you've had it yourself, right? I was doing that show then.
Yeah.
And was doing I thought I was in with the Premier League, doing FPL show, the first ever presenter for the Premier League's YouTube channel. And you
Massive
thought that
gig,
was
right?
it.
Massive gig.
Thought so. Well, it wasn't. It didn't. It didn't work out like the way that I wanted it to. It was.
Is that frustrating at the time? Because you obviously I've done
scary
various shows
at the time, mate. It's
heartbreaking. When you're working with the Premier League and then you're no longer at the time, what is your mindset?
I'm petrified, mate.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so scared because.
Scared of what, can I ask? That you've lost that job or what that means going forward?
So when you're at Ball Street, you're staff, right? And then so once you leave that, so I left that and I left Ball Street because I got the Premier League job. And I was like, you've got to go now.
Yeah.
I also had started my channel by that point. I was doing the kickoff at that point. And things were really exciting.
You're in a freelance capacity here, being able to do whatever you want effectively, but working across multiple things.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, if you're not going to jump now, when are you going to jump? And you're coming back to the idea of like, I'm not going to call myself a presenter until I am a presenter. I remember I went for the Extra Factor job.
Yeah.
Like the online presenter one.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. And I remember going to train, I took a picture of myself and I go, I'm going to remember that for when it works out. Because I was amazed I didn't get it. I thought I'd done all right. But again, it was about followers. Again, and actually the reason I started my channel was because someone got a presenting job and they had a dormant channel, but it was big.
Interesting.
And he got the gig.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm here. I'm in the building. Why have I not been given it?
Yeah.
And I was like, I need influence. I hate that word, but I need an audience.